Ken Adam, and I was production designer on Moonraker, which we filmed in 78 or 79. Now, this was the waterfall at Iguazu, which is one of the most impressive waterfalls in the world. There's Cubby, Mike Wilson. Oh, no, this is again in Manaus or on the Amazon. And you know, I always expected to find native savages or something, and very surprised wherever we landed with a helicopter. We were extremely friendly. This is back at Iguazu. I was going all around the waterfall to really scout which were the best angle. It was quite hair-raising at times. There was my helicopter. That's Peter Lamont in foreground. That's Louis, because we all got soaked in a raincoat. All at Iguazu, which is right on the Brazilian, Uruguayan, and Argentinian border, and which they eventually used for the Mission, I think, another film. You see, we were covering the whole of Brazil in 2 Learjets. That was Cubby there, because we covered enormous distances. I mean, one moment we were in Iguazu, and the next moment in Manaus, in Amazon country. So we could only do it by jets. That's taken from the plane landing at Rio in Brazil, and I just was fascinated to film the landing. You see the Sugarloaf in the background. There the Learjets again. The Copacabana beach, yes. Again, this was location scouting. Oh yes, we shot on this, there's Frank Ernst, another, he was, I think, the first assistant on that film. And this was a private house I found, where we shot a sequence inside it. That's Louis. And, oh, now we are in Guatemala, yeah. Scouting some of the Mayan temples. There's Cubby. Oh, there's an assistant of mine, Charlie Bishop, who's no longer with us. And this was, we were invited on the yacht of an Italian called Matarazzi, who took us out one weekend. Here we are in France at Vaux-le-Vicomte, a castle. And this was Concord Landing with Roger arrival. There's Letizia with Mrs. Gilbert Lewis. Yeah, this was a cable car in Rio, which we filmed, of course. First of all, I was shooting it as a location scout, you know. And then actual shooting. I had to film it pretty accurately because Peter in England had to build the cable car, and part of the cable car crashing was done at Pinewood, you see. Obviously, we couldn't do it there. Dickie Graydon on top of and it was a hair-raising, really. I mean, that height had made me sick just to film it. Also remember we had to stop the cable car and it was swinging violently. And he had to hang from it. The ambulance, or the back opens and the gurney had to drive down the hill. And this was, we staged our own carnival because we shot some footage of the carnival, second unit, but that was in January or whenever it was. And this was, when we filmed, it was much later. So we used 3 or 4 or 5 of the groups which had been at the carnival with their costume, and we staged our own carnival. It was just amazing. I mean, and there you see some of the girls or the carnival at 5 o'clock in the morning dancing on the beach. Nobody went to bed. It just went on all through the night. And we had to control everybody, including the unit, not to go crazy. And here I'm in Venice. That's all location stuff in Venice. Here's where they built the gondolas, and we had a scene there eventually. And there's Derek and Louis and Cubby. And because you remember, the gondola became a hovercraft, I think. And so this was all prior, was several weeks prior to shooting. It was fascinating to me how they constructed these gondolas. And it was very important that we had all the right information for eventually building the gondola hovercraft. And that's a very nice small hotel, actually, on one of the canals. There's Louis going up the steps. Down the steps, up the steps. It's all part of, I think that was a palazzo. It's Piazza San Marco. That was a glass shop, which I eventually used for the film, redressing it and redesigning it. There's Letizia with Mike Wilson and Bill Cartledge in the background. It was obviously very cold. And that was, I found this funeral boat and then used it for the actual shooting, going under the bridge with everything coming off during the filming. And this was a difficult shot, actually, because the speedboat had to cut the gondola in half. And I filmed it because, you know, you never know what happens in these effects situations, but it worked extremely well, I think, in the film. I think Moonraker was possibly the best thing I had done. The old team was disappearing. Lewis wasn't going to do another Bond. Guy wasn't going to do another Bond. Peter Hunt had left. There were no longer the same people. There was a new sort of feeling about it. And also remember, in '79, I was asked, I went to Hollywood. And we stayed in Malibu, and we stayed there for the next four years, you know. So for me, it was the end of Bond.